So I have Ashleigh Rockwell from Hurdlr here today. She is the head of customer success. Is that correct?
Yep, that's
I got that
correct.
right. Okay. Um, and she's going to talk with us a little bit about the Hurdlr app website, but primarily, I'm guessing the app. Maybe not. Is most of the work done on the app?
Yeah, I'd say most of our users are using the app, but we also have a web-based platform that they can use as well.
Nice. Well, Ashley, thank you for being here today. I appreciate this. And I'm sure hopefully my listeners will as well. So, uh, okay. So do you want to give us like the nuts and bolts of kind of how you attract the gig economy, or what you guys are doing for the gig economy compared to some of the other uh TurboTax type just generic ones out there that really that have a gig economy little link and it'll
Mhm.
walk you through, but I feel like you guys do a lot more from what I've looked at. So
Yeah, definitely. So, Hurdlr is designed for basically any sort of self-employed entrepreneur. So, a big base of our users are gig workers because you need a way to easily track all your income, expenses, and mileage. And then that the tax part is always tricky as well because it can be really hard to know how much to set aside. So, we like to take all the headache out of that by helping you track all your finances really easily, and then also estimating your taxes in real time so you know how much you should be paying for any quarterly taxes that you're paying throughout the year, and how much you're owing at the end of the year, just so you can keep that set aside. So we try to make that as easy as possible. I think as far as some of the different differentiators that we have, we're really focused on automating everything as much as possible. So we have AI features to suggest rules to help you track everything really easily and automate it for you. We're constantly innovating and improving the app, so I feel like those are a few things that kind of set us apart from some of the other types of apps that are out there.
yeah. So like apps like Gridwise or Stride,
Mhm.
are you, guessing you're familiar with those.
Yep, yeah,
Do they
exactly.
integrate in? Because we at Para too, I don't know if you've heard of with Para or not, but we at Para also work with a lot of that stuff. We primarily focus on transparency and helping gig workers get the best gig, but we do tool around a little bit with, tracking your, basically when we do the tracking, it's how did you do in a day so that you can recompare it and look like, wait, I was driving that many miles. It's more for like an end of day look, like, wow, I thought I was killing it today, but actually if I look at this, I didn't kill it as much as I thought I did. And so, I mean, do you integrate with Stride, and or do people have to actually export, pull their data, re-enter?
Yeah, so we're more of an alternative to Stride. So we'll kind of, do all that same type of tracking. We'll do all the
Mhm.
income, expense, and mileage tracking, all in one place, and kind of give you that whole view of where you stand, what your actual profit is at the end of the day once you account for all of your expenses and taxes, and just also make sure that you're capturing all those possible deductions that you have.
So when you say that, like, are there like, besides the reading up, because I know a lot of gig workers do their taxes on the 14th of April, and they're just rushing through to get it done. Is there a lot of like flow with it, or are they going to like be pulling hair out looking for resource on what else can I do, or is there some flow like, hey, you did this, you might want to look at these, or do other flow come other flow screens come that say, hey, did you think about these, or
Yeah, so it's kind of an ongoing process. Basically, when they create their Hurdler account, it's going to help them, just track everything from the beginning. So, setting up the finance tracking, and they can link their bank and credit card to pull all the transactions in automatically and set up rules so that they're capturing all those business deductions. And those are going to be, recorded in their reporting that they can then use later for their taxes. Same with the mileage tracking. They're able to, set up different rules to automatically track their mileage and tag it for them. Making sure they're capturing all those business drive deductions. And then when they go to file their taxes, we have a really detailed report that's going to have, a summary of all the different things that they need to import into the tax form. And then we also do have a direct integration for tax filing as well. So if they want to just click a button and transfer that information into a tax filing software, they're able to do that as well, which makes it, super easy. From there, they're just kind of finishing a few personal questions and inputting any other, they have other W-2 income or other, personal deductions, entering those in, but Hurdlr really takes care of that whole business side of their taxes for them.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. While you just mentioned that, I was just thinking of something. So the new, I at first I was confused because I thought it was going to be this coming year that it was going to be put into place, and I think it is. But I thought we were going to have to file that way in the upcoming year. But there's a new 1099K coming out. Are you familiar with this from Uber?
No, I'm not.
The way it's going to be a second 1099K. You're going to get two.
Okay.
I mean, I've always found that you can break it down, but I don't know if you've ever received one, but Uber's 1099K puts all of their earnings in, and they don't take out their service fees to those of us drivers, which has always been really weird to me, because that's not, I mean, I know that they have to play the SaaS card of we're a software as a service, but they've also played the technology card. And so therefore, a lot of people get with me and they get confused and say, this isn't what I made. And I'm like, no, that's what you made with your clients, because you're an independent contractor. Those are your clients. And they're like, but I can't get in touch with any clients. So they're really not. These are invisible entities to me after I drop them off. And I'm like, well, right, but you just have to pull out all these fees. And they're like, well, why isn't that done before it gets to me? I think that a lot of traditional people doing their taxes are used to, if they get a 1099K, even that's just the number. And now you actually have to do some math. And so I don't know. I've never really liked that much. And, hopefully the new 1099K will work that out a little bit better. But,
yeah, it's kind of cool too, because with Uber, we actually have a direct integration with them. So we help with that piece of it as well, because with that information we get from Uber, that gross income, so that amount that's reported on the 1099K, but then we also get the Uber service fees total. So with that, they're going to have the service fees pulling into Hurdlr as an expense. So they're able to track that as a business expense and then have that total of the service fees. So they're able to then deduct that on their taxes, which kind of streamlines that whole process for them. So that's kind of a big differentiator there as well.
does it though? Because I've been in a second, I'm going to explain my situation, because
Yeah.
I'm not your average gig worker either, even though I do all the platforms. But does it? Because are they pay? I mean, why do they put do you know why they put all that into one and then have you pull it out? Because they still have to pay the taxes on that, even though you're the contractor that did that. Their service fees or their airport fees and the things that shouldn't fall on you outside of what you earned. Why is it in there?
I think, I mean, I'm not exactly
Is it
sure.
just an independent contractor
I think
hang
it's
up
an independent contractor thing. Yeah. So I think, typically it's that gross total amount. I mean, we see this with other platforms we integrate with as well. We integrate with, Shopify and Square and some of the platforms like that. They also do the same type of reporting where that total gross income, including the fees, is what's reported as income. And then they need to deduct out those fees as a deduction. And it does all, equate out to the same amount when they deduct it for tax purposes. But it is, just making sure that you are deducting that amount, because I think there definitely are people who, don't realize that and aren't taking that as a deduction. And it is a big deduction that they can use to lower their taxes.
So the Hurdlr app actually just lets you put in the line item, and it's going to ask you questions, obviously, like any flow, but then it's actually going to remove all the stuff that people might be pulling their hair out over if they're sitting there with pen and paper and going, what is going on here?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of tracking all that in real time. So, each time the Uber income pulls in, it's going to have that, Uber income as well as the fees that were associated with that. So they're still getting that, total net income that was actually deposited into their bank account once they subtract the fees. So I think that's pretty cool, because then they're able to see, okay, this is what, is reported on my 1099, but this is what, I can deduct because I wasn't actually paid. These are the fees for Uber.
Okay. Um, so, yeah. And are you guys the only one that Uber provides API access to, or, I mean, you can always get API access, but that legitimately says, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we had partnered with them really early on when they first developed the API, and we had, really partnered closely to promote it to Uber drivers. That was kind of one of our first, set of users that we targeted, and who were really benefiting from this app. But I'm not sure if there are any other sort of platforms out there that do have this direct integration. I just know that we've had it for quite some time now.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've as a as a TurboTax user, I can say that they don't like I can't do that feature in there. That's all on me. They're just kind of like put the number, and I've now after the years realized, okay. And so I have to do it myself first and put in the right number. But we've had a lot of people mess that up, a lot of people. And then it's, and then if they pay for the extra service from Intuit, then they're basically getting a call back saying you did this wrong. And it gets
Mhm.
them very confused, especially some of the people who are new to the country, or a lot of that who work
Mhm.
these platforms. They're just very confused. So me, as a gig worker, so I work for a laser production company out of Miami and have since the late 90s. We do every Carnival Cruise Line ship. We do Disney, we do Toyota corporate events. Um, and then we do concerts and shows. So like for an example, if I go on the road with somebody like Elton John or Shania Twain, those are two that I've done in the past few years.
Mhm.
I might be gone for 5, 6, 7 weeks. I come back, I might have 4 weeks off. So I'm not going to sit at my house and be bored. So that's my reason for gig work, because I go from full-time production right
Mhm.
into full-time, not even part, just right into full-time gig work,
Yep.
because it's awesome. And that's why I need the flex and things. For somebody like me who has those, and then I have like, some computer consulting and other things going on
Mhm.
as well, are all of those integrated in a clean, easy way to do this? Or is it you start setting it up as a gig worker, and then I would have to be like, wait, there was nowhere in there to put my other stuff? And
Mhm.
that's what I've found with TurboTax that is a big negative to me, is that I have to go in and do it 3 times.
Mhm. Yeah. So with Hurdlr, you can track in multiple different businesses. So, we have people who are, freelancing or consulting, and they also, drive for Uber or DoorDash. So they're able to really easily track everything within their same account. So every time they have, a new deposit or expense pulling in, or, drive a trip, if they're going to be prompted to tag which business it is. So, if it's they're online for DoorDash, that's a DoorDash trip. Or, they drove to meet a client for their consulting business, they can tag it to their consulting business. And then Hurdlr is going to generate, all the reporting that's going to give a total for each business. So, if they already need to file a Schedule C for each particular business, they're going to be able to really easily do that. And then, with that tax integration we have with our tax filing partner, it's going to pull all the data in per business as well. So it's going to already kind of generate that Schedule C per business in the tax software itself.
Nice. Yeah, these are really good things for me to know. I like this a lot. um so when I look at your pricing too, I see that there is the free plan.
Mhm.
um so people can download the app now, start putting in information, even though we're not at tax season. And I know here's my reason for saying this is because everybody I know, or many people, I'll say, I won't say everybody, 90%, almost everybody, um, waits until at least March. Between March and April 15th seems to be like when a lot of gig workers go, whoops, I gotta get this
Mhm.
done. And a lot of that even gets closer to April, really. But
Mhm.
um, so to maybe avoid some of the stress of doing this all at once, when I was thinking about this before you were coming on, I was thinking I'm going to ask her, because if you can go in and set up just your profile and not be so overwhelmed, see the platform work,
Mhm.
just kind of be a little familiar with it. You're not entering in stuff yet or whatever, but set up your account. Um, do you find that that's beneficial to the people using it, to set it up beforehand, get a little bit familiar with it instead of setting it up the day they want to start doing their taxes?
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, most of our users are using it on an ongoing basis to track everything in real time.
Right.
This way
Okay.
they're seeing everything that is accumulating in real time. They're seeing what their deductions are. They're seeing what their tax estimates are in real time. And then they're going to have a really clean report for, when it comes tax time. We do have those users who find out about us during tax time and they're, retroactively entering everything in. But I'd say the vast majority of our users are kind of using it on an ongoing basis. So, whether you're starting now for next tax season, or whether started when you first started your gig job, you can really start it whenever and just start tracking everything. I think doing everything on an ongoing basis is definitely the easiest way to avoid a huge headache. But again, we have tried to make it as easy as possible so that even if you are starting, a few days before tax time, it's pretty easy to enter all your information in and then pull that detailed report that you need. So we do have a combination of both, but the vast majority are using it on an ongoing basis.
So the Hurdlr app, like, I'm just going to do a quick comparison to Stride.
Yeah.
So like with Stride started before it even did taxes. I don't know if you know, it was just doing mileage tracking,
Mhm.
your extras, did you buy water for guests in your car, all this kind of stuff. And it was great. And you could leave Stride on, and not only would it track your miles, but it would also show your mapping through the day. So
Mhm.
you could see exactly where you drove, and you could share that information like you can on some of the gig platforms with like a family member or something to see if you're safe,
Mhm.
whatever, just the how you're doing in a day. Did you guys integrate anything as such, or are you entering all of this information at the end of the day?
So it's real-time mileage tracking. So most of our users do use that automatic mileage tracker. So it's tracking all of their mileage as they're driving. And then at the end of the day, or whenever they sit down to tag everything, they're going through and swiping, whether it's a business drive or a personal drive. So I'd say most of our users are using that feature. We do have some users who prefer to use what we call semi-automatic tracking. So with that, they're clicking a button to start the tracker and then clicking it to stop it. So it's only tracking certain trips that they want tracked. And then we also have the ability to manually enter trips as well. So I'd say most of our users are using that automatic tracking feature. We do show for each trip that's tracked a little map, so they're able to see exactly what route they drove and kind of see those full details. And then in their reporting, it's going to show, the starting and ending time, what distance they drove, what the starting and ending address was, and all of that. So they have a detailed log as far as for tax reporting as well. We don't have anything as far as sharing location, but it would have, that detailed record of all the drives.
Right, right, right. So do you find that, I don't even know if you've had to deal with this yet, but it's always been a concern of mine when people are manually entering. And I don't
Mhm.
even know if this is considered a perk, if like you needed to, I don't want to use the word audit, but if you needed to explain your taxes to somebody else, I'll
Mhm.
say that. Um, do you find that it's a good that it's a helpful perk to have the real time tracking to be able to show, or do they not care in that type
Yeah.
scenario? Do they just say, hey, what miles did you do? And then, because in my opinion, it would be much better to show real time, but I don't know if they're really looking at that, as opposed to just going, well, I did 400 miles today.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for, tax purposes or auditing purposes, it is good to have a detailed log. So I do feel like that real-time tracking that's going to have a really detailed, log of, the distance you drove. It's all based on the GPS points,
Right.
reported by your phone as you're driving. So I feel like that definitely is more, substantial proof if you did need to prove your driving record. But I can't really speak to exactly, what they would or would not accept, but I think what we generally found is for, auditing purposes or being able to prove, the validity of your drives, having that detailed log does tend to be the better route to go.
Yeah, I would think so too. I'm trying to sit here and think, would somebody actually take the time to look at each of your detailed logs?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like sometimes they do. It depends on,
Okay, they really, okay. Yeah,
yeah.
I was just curious because in the way this country, the way everything's so crazy lately, I can't even imagine an auditor, first of all, wanting to talk to a gig worker. I know we have
Yeah.
AB5, I know we have the PRO Act on the line and all this stuff that could majorly and dramatically change a lot of things, but right now, I can't imagine an auditor taking somebody at that level of income and saying, let's look at every ride you did every day. I mean, it seems like just a manual entry would be good enough, but I guess if they have to match things up or whatever, but it seems like it would have to be a very detailed audit, and you'd have to be doing a lot of other things that flag them to have them go, we're going to look through all these, because that's a lot of work.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I mean, it is very detailed too. So, I mean, it's nice to have that to back up your drives, but it does just kind of depend on if you were to ever get, flagged for an audit or something like
Right.
that.
I would see those details being more beneficial to the drivers or the users of the app to be able to go back and go, what did I do wrong today? Why did I, or where, because I've done that with Stride even when I used to use it in the past. But I'm gonna get on this one and try. So on the free version, I'm seeing unlimited mileage tracking. You can add your income and expenses, tax calculation summaries, and you can even export email reports all in the free version.
Yep. So it is a little bit more manual than the premium version. So with the mileage tracking, it's that semi-automatic. So starting and stopping the tracker, and then it's manually entering in income and expenses. Versus the premium version is going to automate everything. So it's going to have the automatic mileage tracking, the ability to link banks and credit cards to automatically track the finances, and also the Uber integration or any of our other types of integrations to pull in all that finance information. The tax details are also more granular. So on the free version, it's going to have a total of what your tax estimates are for your federal, state, and self-employed taxes as one total. Versus on the premium version, it's going to have a really detailed breakdown of, this is how your taxes are being calculated. So, what your mileage deduction is, what your expense deduction is, what those federal taxes are, what the state taxes are, and then what the self-employment taxes are. So it's a little bit more detailed and helps you really see all the details about your taxes and how those deductions that you're tracking in the app are actually lowering your taxes and benefiting you and saving you money.
So even though the free version exists, and I'm about to put it on my phone after we talk today, I'm actually going to start trying just the free version just to mess around.
Yeah.
Does it integrate over to the premium or pro well? Like, even because you just explained it, like you're having to enter it differently. Does it move it over to the way that the more automated one?
Yeah, so it's really easy. So essentially, when users first sign up, they'll get a free trial, and if they want to continue with premium after that, they can. They'll get a free trial of premium, and then they can continue if they want. If not, they can continue with the free version. So we found that some users really do find good value with the free version, where they're just looking for something really basic to manually enter. And then if they do decide their business has grown to a point where they want those premium features, all they do is upgrade, which then unlocks the feature. So it's really easy to transition from one to the other because it's all within the same app. It's just a matter of, different features being unlocked and available. So, upgrading still keeps everything you've already tracked the same. It just unlocks those more advanced features so you can use that moving forward.
Yeah, that's what I was really getting at. So like whatever you enter in the free version will translate to either of or any upgrades you might choose to do that fits you.
Yep, exactly.
And then you're more in an automated system and you're going to see, oh, wait, this is much easier, but it's still translated all of your info correctly over. And if not, obviously your customer support team could help with that. I just wanted to make sure that was a thing that they could do. So I had a question from one of my regular listeners who does use Hurdlr. And he asked me if you'll ever integrate with Payfare.
Yeah, so I actually have asked our team about that. We don't have an integration with them currently. We use Plaid as our third-party integrations partner. So I do see that it looks like Payfare has some partnership going on between Plaid and Payfare. So I'm not exactly sure what that is. But definitely would hope to have more and more integrations as we continue to grow and as Plaid grows and integrates with more banks and platforms. So nothing right now, but hopefully in the future as more things are added.
Right. I know it's hard to keep up with all these companies like Payfare and stuff too that really do just pop. I mean, I didn't even know. I had heard Payfare, and I study this stuff all the time, and I didn't even really know about them. Like I'd heard it, but it just passed right by. until he brought it up. And then I
Mhm.
messaged him. We got in a little conversation about, I'm like, I even said, what is it? I didn't even click on it. I said, what is it? I mean, explain this to me. And he's like, well, it's just a new, it's so many of these come by. So I don't know how you
Mhm.
guys all keep up, but I know that he was wondering about that. And I had another one too, though. Um, Dasher direct card linking would be awesome. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so I think that's another one where it's not currently supported. I don't think the the API data is available right now, but that's something that we're hoping in the future we'd have access to and could have an integration with. And like I said, I think Plaid, who is our integrations partner, is also trying to partner with a lot of these platforms as well to pull that kind of data. So we're hoping to see more of that in the future as well.
So approximately how many do you add per tax year? Like,
So
I
right,
mean, of these type of things. So like, just so that people get an idea, because obviously, people listening, like there are hundreds of these out there.
yeah.
So as I'm talking with Ashleigh here, realize that, they obviously just can't keep up. So the best thing I would say to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be to email you guys
Mhm.
and say, hey, I'm a customer. And if you could, if you could integrate this, I'm sure you'd at least get an answer back from you guys on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And you might even
definitely.
bring it to your attention.
Yeah, definitely. So right now we link with over 10,000 banks, credit cards, credit unions, and integrations platforms. So I'd say that the vast majority of those are, more traditional banks, credit cards, and credit unions. There are some more kind of fintech platforms that are popping up more and more. But anytime there is a bank or integration that's not currently supported, we do escalate it with Plaid and kind of track that. So they're able to update us as they do add more and more types of integrations like that. So, it can range from, it might be something that's already in the works and they let us know pretty quickly, or it can be something that, a year from now, they're letting us know that this has now been added. So since it's not directly managed by us, I can't really speak to how many they're adding per year, but we have seen ones that weren't currently supported when someone had reached out, and then we are seeing them supported later on. So I think they are trying to actively add as many different types of banks and integrations as they can.
How long has Hurdlr been around?
We've been around for over 6 years. Our first app had launched, yeah, over 6 years at this point.
Okay. So 2015, 20,
Mhm.
is that about right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, around then. Mhm.
okay. And yeah, I'm looking at the plans. I mean, the plans are seem pretty standard compared to the other ones out there that do
Mhm.
these. So the upgrade from free to premium gets you unlimited auto mileage tracking, auto expense tracking. Now I'm seeing these as the green highlights, auto income tracking. So but then they kind of say add income expenses. So the auto part, can you just explain the auto part as opposed, like how the auto part works as opposed to the manual entry?
Yeah, yeah. So with the auto part, users are able to link their banks or credit cards or the other integrations we offer, and that's going to pull all of the finances in automatically. So they can select whether it's an income account, expense account, or both, and that's going to automatically pull all those transactions in. And then all they need to do is go through and indicate whether it's business or personal. So in the mobile app we have, it's just swiping left or right to tag it. We also have some AI based rules. So, for instance, if they have, their Uber Pay, they could say that that's always going to be business income. So they could have it tag that automatically by setting up a rule. And then, on the expenses side, if, their gas is always a business expense, they can set those types of rules up as well. So we do try to automate a lot of that even further than, just automatically pulling the transactions in. We also try to then automate all the tagging so that it's reflected in their reporting without them having to take any actions.
So you can flag gas, but can you go back in and let's say 95% of the gas you get is used for work. But let's say you go up, like I live in Colorado, let's say I go up snowboarding for the day in the mountains, and the whole tank of gas is just for me. Can I now go through there and delete that one out?
Yeah, yeah. So it's really easy to go in and edit transactions. There's also a split feature. So, for instance, if it is, a split between personal and business, you're able to say which portion was business versus personal. So you can keep that separate as well for your reporting.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was talking about on the specific, like a specific entry, how you were saying the bank
Mhm.
syncs up and you're pulling all that records. And if you've now flagged gas as your expense, but you're like, well, wait, these two in a row, 100% me, no work
Yeah. Yep. So you'd be able to change those to personal. So like if you
on
had a
just
rules.
those instances.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. So yeah, if you had a rule set up and then there was a certain transaction that was actually outside that rule, you can edit that particular transaction. And then that would, update it in your reporting. So all the other ones would not be affected, but that particular one that you want to edit would be able to be changed.
Is there a best time to come on the Hurdlr platform? And I'm asking this because is there a time when you guys run any kind of special near the end of the year to get people on, just before tax season kind of thing or anything like that?
We
Or are
don't.
prices pretty locked and this is this and it doesn't, and there's no reason to wait or anything? This is this. And I mean, they're fair prices. I'm just because sometimes some of these go, they come down a little bit for like 2-3 weeks, but they don't tell you when those weeks are. So obviously those weeks are based on when they know they need to be good competition with other companies. And so I'm looking for a little Easter egg if there is one.
Yeah, we actually don't really do anything like that. The prices are kind
Okay.
of set. Sometimes if a user reaches out or has a question, or there is some sort of like special promotion, then we can give that, but there isn't any, set time that we have anything running. So it's more kind of on an ongoing basis. And typically we'll try to let users know when we do have anything like that.
Like me, if I have, let's say I got premium,
Mhm.
and I wanted to turn on a bunch of people to it. But maybe not me specifically, since I have a lot of contact with a lot of people, but somebody who works in a specific market has
Mhm.
3 other friends who work gig work. Do they get referral?
Yep, we have a referral program. We pay $20 per subscriber that they refer.
Okay.
So they have a referral link that they can access directly in the app and then share that with any friends. And it's going to show them who signed up using their link. And then if any of those friends upgrade, they'll automatically get a $20 Visa gift card.
Okay. That's great. So obviously not from the free ones. Or wait,
Yeah,
if the
yeah. So
free
any
ones, if the free ones
subscriptions.
signed up a premium, would that do
Mhm.
it or no?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of an ongoing basis. So anyone who signs up using their link will count as a referral. And then at any point, if they then purchase a subscription, it's going to give them the referral credit.
Right. Okay. So it does, so like if I had free, but I referred 4 people who got pro,
Mhm.
I'd
You would
still
still
get the
get the
referral.
credit. Yep,
Okay.
exactly. Yep.
Okay. That's good to know too. So that's about really all I wanted to bring you in for, was just to kind of go over Hurdlr, because I've run past it a few times over the years, but I'm going to be honest, I've just been using Stride for so long,
Mhm.
but then Stride started doing health and all this other stuff, and I feel like it's kind of outreached itself a little bit, and the prices have gone up too.
Mhm.
And I know that happens, but I mean, as you add features, but they're kind of features I don't need.
Mhm.
So like the plan that I would normally get through a Stride that used to be very cheap
Mhm.
is now still affordable, but it's more, nobody wants to be on something that everything that they need is already being done and they're paying $5, and then
Mhm.
they add these 7 things and you don't need any of them and now it's 12.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. So I mean, I don't see that here, and that's why I'm going to try and make this jump just into the free one at first to see, but then maybe over, because your premium is also cheaper than Strides now too.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. I know I haven't looked at their pricing in a while, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think our pricing is definitely comparable to, other types of apps, and also tends to add more features than some of those what other apps offer. It's also a tax deduction, the subscription purchase.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah. I've never deducted that.
oh, really? Yeah,
No,
that's
I've never
another great,
deducted my
another
Stride
great
pay.
deduction.
Oh my God. You're not even a tax accountant. You just helped me out. Awesome. Um, so if so Hurdlr is HURDLR.com. If people have questions, what is the best way for them to go about it?
Yeah, so
Because
the best way.
I get a lot of people who, again, um, people who are new to the country or whatnot, maybe English
Mhm.
is their second language. They're very
Mhm.
skeptical on taxes because it's very frightening
Yeah.
to them. I've talked to a lot. So somebody who wants to like just have a quick one-on-one like we're doing right now,
Mhm.
how is the best way for them to do that, and which contact link should they reach out to? I mean, is there a way for somebody to talk to somebody? Because we love these US companies too, you guys that are here,
Mhm.
you know, because so many of the companies are shipped off to Indonesia
Mhm.
or whatever, and a lot of times like literally that first tier is worthless.
Mhm.
I mean, it literally, you're asking them questions that they don't know either, and they're just going by a binder.
Yeah. So our support is all based in-house, and it's all in our DC office. We're based in Washington, DC. So our customer success team, which I head up, to answers any sorts of questions. Typically, the easiest way would be to download the app, and we have an in-app chat feature. So we offer live in-app chat support from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. So that's really the easiest way to get in touch with us. Typically, we answer pretty quickly, and then all of the chat history is saved, and it's also ongoing. So it's nice because you can come back at any time and see what we talked about. We're able to easily link to articles or share screenshots of things. So it makes it really easy to have that record and go back and reference it as you need it, and also just kind of have that ongoing conversation. It's also going to let us kind of see anything about your account. So, if you have specific questions that we need to look something up, it's going to allow us to really easily look up the account information and help you with any questions or issues you're running into. So I'd say that's definitely the easiest way to reach out to us.
Okay. So, so if people do get on the chat, because I know, again, two people, you could go to the website, you could click contact and email them, of course, would be
Mhm.
one another way where you could be very detailed. But if you do have the account then and you set it up and you're on chat and it is between 9 and 6 Eastern time, is it pretty, like you said, it doesn't take long to get back to you during the business hours? Is it live? Is it pretty
Mhm.
quick? Like, is it like you type in a question, you're probably going to get one back in the next couple minutes?
Yep. Yeah. Our normal response times are typically than just a few minutes. So,
Okay.
typically you're going to get an answer pretty quickly. And it's all live. So it's all with our customer success team.
Okay. Um, anything else you can add about Hurdlr or plug for Hurdlr for us for gig workers?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that, overall, it's really going to help any sort of gig worker track all their income, expenses, mileage, and taxes in a really easy, streamlined tool. So I think that's the really big benefit there. On average, our users save $5,600 in 18 hours per year. So it really takes a lot of the headache out of taxes. Make sure you're capturing all those possible deductions and just, not spending time trying to go through your bank statements and find all your deductions, or, go through all your pay stubs. It tries to make it as easy as possible. So I think that's really the big draw there. We're really looking to help gig workers simplify this whole tax process, make it less of a headache.
Yeah. So I mean, now that you reminded me that I can write this off, I don't even see why I wouldn't just jump into premium, because even if I don't keep it, even if I run it for 3 months and say, I'm going to go to another thing, I can still write off those 3 months I used just through the
Mhm.
other whatever I do, or if I do it
Yep.
myself or whatever. So yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to just jump into the auto stuff, because it seems like once you get that set up, you're just a lot better off. And it really, like you were saying, when you say 18 hours, I have to almost double that with some people,
Yeah.
because I know some people really struggle with their taxes, like,
Yeah. It can be
and
hard.
actually get like anxiety attacks and things of that nature that are
Mhm.
really bad. And so, I would say jump in right away to the premium, because I'm looking at the pro and I'm trying to think, I don't really see, for your average app based on demand gig worker,
Mhm.
those type gig workers, I don't see a need for the pro.
Mhm.
But the premium seems like, I mean, for me, I might need the pro, how I explain my life. Like, so I,
Yeah.
I work in different spaces of the gig world and more traditional gig economy as well as app
Mhm.
based. But if you're just app based, I wouldn't see why you wouldn't just come on and do the premium, just do it. You're going to be able to write it off. You're not, and it does matter. I mean, you hear write off and you're like, yeah, but I still have to pay it. Yeah, but you get to write it off. The more write offs you get, and the more ones that can truly be used,
Mhm.
And then, so a last question that I do have for you before I let you
Yeah.
go is, are is there a good breakdown within the app of what write-offs are allowed?
So there isn't necessarily like a breakdown. We have, blog and resources that can help with, what are the typical deductions for drivers and gig workers. We have a whole deductions site that outlines a lot of that. But then also when you're, setting up your account, you're selecting your business type. So you'd select driver, and that's also going to customize the business expense categories. So you're going to get an idea of what are the typical types of business expenses that you can write off. And then we also have a feature called Deduction Finder, which will actually, when you link your bank or credit card, it's going to scan all of your transactions that have pulled in and recommend which ones are really likely to be a deduction versus the ones that aren't likely. So that can kind of also help you see, as a driver and as a gig worker, what are the normal types of deductions that are being able to be taken, and kind of help you start that process.
And I'm guessing that in your TOS, there's no abuse of people's information. I'm guessing this is a completely secure thing between Hurdlr and the client, that their banking info or what they're
Mhm.
spending things on isn't being sold off to other companies. Or
Yeah, we don't sell
transparency,
any data.
transparency. That's what we live by here. So
Yep.
um
Yeah, we don't sell data. And then also we use banking level security. So it's very secure. We know when they are linking their account or tracking their data, everything is very secure.
all right. Well, Ashleigh, thank you for coming on, and I will probably be hitting you guys up in the new year and have some more questions, I'm sure. Because as we get closer, people are gonna, I'm sure they're gonna do the normal thing and be asking a ton of questions, because what's, I hate to say this because people are already concerned about getting through the holidays, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The taxes aren't that far away now, guys. Like,
I know.
this is
I
that
know. It's
time of year when
crazy.
you have to like kind of shift gears, especially if you don't do
Mhm.
quarterly,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I've told people and they're like, I'm never going to do quarterly. And I'm like, dude, it really probably helps your life a lot, I don't know.
Yeah. I will say that's one part where Hurdlr can help as well. We break everything down by quarterly taxes as well. So, anyone who's kind of afraid or, not wanting to jump into quarterly taxes, it does make it a bit easier, and, to track the tax payments they're making and everything too. So hopefully that can help with people who are, a little afraid to kind of jump into the quarterly, but maybe they benefit from it.
I think people are just afraid to jump in early when it comes down
Yeah.
to it. And then when it
Yeah.
comes down to the wire, they get stuck with a this or that online because they're like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know what to do. And they're just going to be pulling all the data themselves. And that's why you end up pulling out here. But if you have an app like
Mhm.
this,
Yep.
use it. You let it do all this stuff, because then you won't be, when you get to the point of, okay, here were my here were my here's all my earnings, and now I'm going to put it in. Well, now you've already put in all the information that you need to track. So really
Mhm.
all of that headache is gone.
Exactly.
I mean, so anyway, Ashleigh, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to trying Hurdlr out, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, looking
Yeah.
forward to hearing from you more.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on today.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.